has struck me coming out of IAAPA is, really what that force for good that we're all trying to do, right? Hi, I'm Russ, and this is the Memory Makers Podcast, the show that helps you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories. I don't have an IAAPA jingle, Mike, other than just quoting or parroting the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, but I think that trademark infringement's going to be a little steep for us. So, hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. We are coming to you post-IAAPA, post-Thanksgiving revelry, as I'm sure all of you are up to your eyeballs in planning and vetting and decompressing and unpeopling and starting anew with all of the fun things on the to-do list. And we wanted this episode to be short and sweet this week, and a way for us to say thank you to all of you who have listened to this continually, whether you've been listening just for a couple of weeks or you've been doing it for the better part of 2 years. We gain so much, Mike and I and Danny and the Creative Works team, by being able to share what we've learned from you and vice versa. And man, what a great industry we are in, and stupid lucky to get to do what we do, as I normally say. Beyond the thanks, I thought that I would share some key takeaways and some trends and some insights that we were seeing with just what folks were looking for after being on the road pretty much from the beginning of September through middle of October, and then culminating with IAAPA. I've had a chance to be on the road a ton and meeting with so many different operators, and thought I'd share some kind of key directions or areas that they are looking at, whether it's to impact the guest experience, whether it's to improve the bottom line. So I thought I'd just recap a couple of those. Some really groovy stuff at IAAPA this year. There are some things that are always, hey, this has been here for about a year, and now I've seen it make some improvements. There's a few players that have just some brand spanking new stuff on the show floor, which was always super interesting. But as I had been meeting with so many different operators over these last 8 weeks or so, one of the big things is, how do we come up with a physical type experience that isn't going to take a ton of square footage and isn't going to require a ton of staffing and things like that. And so I definitely think, as you guys are vetting different options that may scratch these needs of, it's got some groovy tech, it's something that's a little bit more physically active, because that engagement and higher level of involvement from the guests as they play is definitely resonating well across the board that we've seen. So shameless plug, but any of the ValoMotion pieces are really coming across strongly, I think, in order to do that, and have just been delighted with so many of you that have added this into your mix in one form or another, and excited to see the impact that has. There are some other elements like Pixel and other product platforms out there that, again, take this, how do we sprinkle in some groovy tech? How do we keep them physically active in an experience in order to forge a more powerful memory? So those were two of the kind of top tier folks that I came across at IAAPA specifically that I think really check that box well. Another thing that was really prevalent at the show that I think will be very interesting to see how it continues to develop are these kind of micro escape type experiences. And so for those of you that stopped by the booth, we obviously had Detonate, which was that 10-minute experience for 2 to 6 players where it can have some arcade functionality, but an escape room type of an experience, and was thrilled with how many of you, it kind of confirmed our hopes of bringing something like that to the market where, hey, this is an easy thing that we can add into our mix. We can sell it like a mini attraction. We can integrate it into the arcade ecosystem, but I don't have to have construction build out, and I don't have to have the same staffing requirements in order to provide a good experience, because we also got a lot of feedback from different operators that were saying, yeah, like, I think that something that's not quite a 30 or a 60-minute experience could do really well at our center, because we have plenty of folks that are intrigued with that, but it's less of an overall time commitment. It's less of a square footage allocation. So how do we hybridize what that experience is to make it translate better for a traditional FEC or location-based venue that isn't doing multiple escape room experiences and all of that good stuff? There were some other escape cabinets or mini escape room type experiences that were there. that were interesting. I think that some of it is, and you guys know this that have been to an IAAPA before, sometimes you see some really groovy products, but they haven't been thought through from the standpoint of an operator's insights, or what is it like when you're trying to actually fit 3 people into this space, or what have you. So as you're vetting your different attractions or things that are kind of on your short list to keep an eye on to add in the future, definitely look at, kind of 2 or 3 moves downstream as far as how is this actually going to translate for the guest experience, and from a throughput and a capacity and all of that good stuff. I had the good fortune of speaking at rookies and newcomers prior to IAAPA, and was talking with them about some emerging trends that we're seeing, really some big things for existing operators. Hey, while same store, numbers may be down a little bit from the previous year, somewhere around 4%. The ones that are seeing those numbers tick back up are the folks that have added something either, through their food and beverage or through a new attraction. What are some new things that they're sprinkling into their portfolio in order to create some excitement and some marketing opportunities and really drive some traffic prior to the new year, as well as folks looking to do that same thing prior to spring break. So remember that calendar ticks by quickly, and the lead times are always a little bit longer than we would like as you're looking at any of your new additions. So that way, as you're planning for 2026 pro formas, how do we make sure that we're really in good shape going into spring break, by adding some more food and beverage offerings, looking at ways that we can have some different things for them to explore, different things for them to explore as they come into our space, because that's new marketing. That's really going to stir the pot very nicely as all of that looks. I think the final piece that really has struck me coming out of IAAPA is really what that force for good that we're all trying to do, right? We have businesses that employ people. We're trying to make sure that we're creating jobs and opportunities for them. We're trying to do so much for our communities, for the people that come in and play, as well as giving back through philanthropic efforts. And don't underestimate the power of your philanthropic events. I had the chance to talk to some fabulous case studies of, hey, here are different ways that we're trying to give back, whether it's helping with school fundraisers or trying to be a little bit different and unique in how we're putting ourselves in front of people or getting news coverage. And so much of that can come through our philanthropic efforts. And so one in particular, Nick Parks with his Level Up location, talking about how instead of the traditional Christmas wrapping paper type of a fundraiser that his school would do, he didn't like that the schools or the kids weren't getting as much of the direct benefits from something like that. And so actually said, hey, I'll give you, you guys a $50 game card for my center that you can sell for, I'll charge you $20 for it. So that way you keep the $30 difference essentially, in order to make sure that you're giving a true value to the people that are actually buying it, and that a lot more money is actually going towards the schools or the intended fundraising itself. So some really groovy things I think that are always out there, and I highly encourage you as you are talking with other operators to pick their brains, see what's working for them, and just keeping your finger on the pulse, because when we're in that vacuum or that silo, it can be really difficult for us to, one, lose sight of we're not the only ones struggling with this issue, and others have figured out ways to creatively engage and come up with ways to surprise and delight. And that's what we're in. We're in that infinite game of memories. And again, really excited as we move forward into 2026 and what is to come, but also exceptionally grateful for all of you who make this industry what it is. So with that, if you have any ideas for future episodes, please hit us up on social media. We'd love to be able to get more of that into the rotation in the mix for you. If you liked what you heard today, please give us a 5-star review, please and thank you. And as always, big shout out to Mikey Mike on the ones and twos working the Ultranet. I'm always thankful for you, good sir. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.